So this is a video. It was sent to me by a friend, and just want to watch it. And it's called "PUBG Was Amazing and How It Got Bad," and it's made by someone who I'm assuming is like a just a neutral party, kind of someone who used to play a lot of PUBG, and just their take on the state of the game. And we're just gonna watch it.
This video is sponsored by Nebula.
Can
I
you
have
hear
a
it?
beef to settle today, and it's about PUBG, Fortnite, and historical revisionism. No fancy intro, let's just start this shit. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is a battle royale shooter that released in 2017, 6 years from this video's upload.
The clothes,
it features
look
a
at the
100-player
clothes.
battle in an increasingly shrinking play zone until one person or team is left standing. PUBG is one of the most influential games of the past 10 years, the largest reason being that it kicked off the battle royale frenzy that's led to not just every single AAA studio's take on the genre, but Fortnite, one of the most culturally dominant and successful video games of all time. Now, unlike a lot of people,
Yeah, because PUBG came out, and then after PUBG came out, all these other companies started coming out with their own battle royales and their own twists on it and stuff. And you know, it was it kind of like kick-started everything. Let's see. Oh, we want to hold on a second. I'm gonna put you guys in here. Can't not have you guys here. There. All right.
I don't really have a problem with Fortnite itself, but I do have a problem with how PUBG began to be treated as Fortnite passed it in popularity. So first, let's talk about what PUBG is. PUBG
What is PUBG?
slow. Out of
Yes.
almost any battle royale I've seen, this game consists mainly of quiet moments.
But
While
this is
gunfights
TPP.
are the actual highlights of PUBG, those are only small moments between looting, traveling, and waiting for the game to advance. While matches do run on a timer, it's only ever pressing when you're on the clear opposite of the map or near the end.
Well, it's slow, because the game, you know, pushes you that way. It's, you know, I mean, it started out slow, but now it's a little bit more fast paced, I think. But in today's PUBG, it's only slow because the game rewards being passive.
End of the game, leaving plenty of space for silence. The game, like most shooters, doesn't have any music during the gameplay itself, leaving room for sound to be a key component in gunfights. However, while many games have sound act almost intimately, being something you listen closely to and many times giving you mere milliseconds to prepare, sound in PUBG is this roaring warning siren. While traveling can be slow and occasionally tedious, just watching someone else do it doesn't give you the whole experience. Your time spent traveling is focused on scanning the horizon line, listening for sound cues, choosing where to go, darting from cover to cover. Gameplay is blank.
And also, it being a slower game, I think, personally, is what makes PUBG such a really great streaming game. Because with all that downtime, you're able to chat with people and just have different types of conversations. And I'm sure people that just play the game do this as well. Those that are playing in duos or squads with your friends, like it's just time to BS around, right?
Blanketed by this heavy feeling of paranoia, like you could be shot at any moment, because most times you very well could. While you are constantly searching
later,
for
solid
others, so
penguin.
is everybody else, and a quiet moment can be suddenly ripped to shreds in an instant if you're not the first to the draw.
Yep.
And also, guns sound f***ing terrifying in this game. They're so loud, so much louder than any other sound in the game, it's ridiculous. It reminds me strangely of Five Nights at Freddy's 4, where you need the game to be loud enough to hear the breathing noises, but the louder it is, the worse the jump scares will be. And honestly, this game has scared me far more than any horror game could. While danger is kind of a binary
Well,
thing
yeah,
in this game,
there's a
you're
huge jump scare element in this game, because when you stumble upon a rat or a guy like in a bush, or someone just pops up and just blasts you and you have no time to react and you just disappear, yeah, there's a scare element to this game for sure, especially in solos. It's way worse in solos.
in a gunfight or you're not, the perceived danger goes higher and higher the smaller the circle gets. You go from sprinting in empty fields without blinking to being terrified to peek your head out unnecessarily. As easy as it is to make some little video on the game because you don't care about it, the tension and enjoyment of PUBG comes with truly wanting to be the last one standing. It makes every moment, quiet to loud, have a tension to it that I just don't get in most games.
Yeah, it builds.
The game is also heterogeneous? Okay, small tangent. In chemistry class in high school, I learned about a
What is heterogeneous?
Concept called homogeneity and heterogeneity. Basically, if something is homogeneous, it means that when you mix all the ingredients of a recipe together, the individual elements all sort of perfectly mix into this new thing. So if you look at it or taste it or anything, it's impossible to witness all the individual parts.
Okay.
Instead of sugar and water, it's sugar water. If something is heterogeneous though, no matter how much you try to mix it all together,
it's like oil and water.
its sections will be easily visible and present on their own. Oil and water never becomes oil water. These days, it feels to me like most competitive multiplayer games are homogeneous. They want to give you a consistent feeling of enjoyment at any given moment, having every piece of the game sort of broken down into bite-sized bits that you can consume easily. PUBG, in contrast...
Do you think they also are... It's like all the new games that come out now, and it may tie into the way that social media is, the way that the world works now with instant gratification, very low attention spans, and just needing to grab your attention at all elements, right? So it's like, oh, if there's any element of downtime, that in turn in today's world is bad because you know, you need something to constantly be grabbing your attention at all times.
Is chunky salsa. Every part of one singular game of PUBG is intensely separated from each other. You're traveling or in a fight or looting, you're at individual notable locations and following distinct tactical decisions. Hide in this house, head to that hill, keep an eye towards the blue to catch any stragglers.
Go to a crate.
Every part of the game, even the more quote-unquote boring ones, are distinct and turn every match into its own little narrative of decision-making. This is a...
Yeah, so that I think is what makes PUBG great, because every game is different, right? I don't know. It separates itself from other games where, let's say, Call of Duty, it's just get your loadout, which is going to be the same every game because you just use the meta loadout and then run and gun, right? But in PUBG, depending on what happens in the game, you might find yourself needing to be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more passive. You can do so many things. You can rat. You know, we set up bait traps all the time. You could go and just be super aggressive and push all shots that you hear or whatever it is.
It's a game composed of scenes, and I like that feeling. The slow moments make the exciting ones more impactful. The stress of the exciting moments can make the boring ones even somewhat peaceful. It's swimming in the breath you take when you re-emerge from it. However, despite my enthusiasm for the game as it was, and despite the fervor for PUBG at the time of its release, the community's view began to slowly shift away from this excitement.
Yeah, why?
When tracking the progression of Battleground's design philosophy, the most damning view is through the design of its maps.
Okay.
Erangel, the first and...
Whoa, what'd they say?
Maps.
Erangel and the many things I want to say about it that I can't really sum up in a title. Okay.
Erangel,
what's wrong with
the
Erangel?
first and only map present at release, is a microcosm of the way the entire game is designed. To simplify things greatly, Erangel is constructed of hot spots, medium spots, and cold spots.
Yep.
Despite there being 20 or so named locations, their popularity is wildly different, and not just based on something as simple as closeness to the center of the map.
Which is good.
Locations like prison
Uniqueness
or
of the map.
military base were some of the hottest spots in the entire game, beating out the more traditional townscapes of Rozhok and Yasnaya Polyana despite them being accessible in almost every game. A surprising amount of variety was put into every location, with little touches that wildly affected how combat and travel would work both in and leading out of them.
Well, the thing is that the reason why Yasnaya didn't become super popular is because it's literally Ratville. Like, who wants to drop into a city where there's a ton of buildings that the game's based around being passive? You just know you're going to stumble upon someone hiding in a building, right? I think there's a reason why certain drop locations develop naturally into hot drops and some didn't.
The most famous parts of Erangel is the two major bridges leading out of the military island, and not just because of the
remember that? Being able to blow up cars?
Choke points, but the combination of the military-based hotspot and the need to get to the circle in a rush right after forces a lot of players to try and hightail it through the bridges. Okay. This was such a guaranteed behavior that a whole-ass niche playstyle was developed by a subset of players. From something as simple as just shooting people as they leave to creating blockades of cars to make gunning past the ambush straight up impossible. Players, me included, would also find favorite locations to reliably drop to. Mine, thanks for asking, is the shipping crates next to Georgia.
Yeah, hey, what's yours?
I lovingly call shipping crates.
We still go shipping crates. We love the shipping crates. It's still a great drop.
Despite not being a named location, it has surprisingly good loot spread along the tops of the aforementioned crates and inside of warehouses, and is connected to a bunch of other medium-ish spots where you can hunt down players. The gunplay is also interesting, especially in third-person mode, with the layout giving a verticality to things that doesn't exist in many other areas of the game. I also love the novelty of dropping at Zarki, being the single most outsized and isolated named location in the map.
Yep.
I similarly like Stalber, a set of ruins on the top of a ridiculous...
This Stalber doesn't exist anymore. They changed it, obviously. But like all those ruins up top with the houses, you may forget about that, but it was there. That's how it used to be. I mean, there used to be a team deathmatch based around that, and it's gone now.
Tall mountain. The list goes on. Shooting
What's better?
range, shelter, quarry, unmistakable locations that each person gets a unique fondness or hatred for, and its variety giving space for many different tastes and playstyles. But among all of these, there is one location that's different than all others. One location that's not just famous, but the place responsible for the slow death of PUBG as a video game.
Wait, one place responsible for the slow death of PUBG in Erangel? What is that place? What would that place be? Pachinki? School. A lot of people are saying that's a good guess. I'd say Pachinki or school. Pachinki or school. He already covered military base, so I don't think that's it. Pachinki or school, I think those are good guesses.
Let's talk about school.
Oh!
School is a named location in Erangel. It is near the center of the map, meaning it's almost always possible to drop to.
Wait a second. You know that guy?
Locations and is very small and self-contained. All of these things combined means that it is the most consistently popular spot.
It's running around. I remember that running around, not finding any loot.
Arguably Pachinki, but unlike school, it is an entire town, spread out enough and with enough cut-off sightlines to keep even large amounts of people to the more controlled and tactical combat of the game at large. School, in contrast, is a Call of Duty match. I mean, let's just tell it like it is. As much as the rest of the game's design philosophy goes directly against it, the first couple of minutes of any PUBG match at school is just a slaughter fest. And while for the best players that drop there, they can do some damage with consistency and often survive it, the vast majority of people who repeatedly drop there would wait in the lobby, jump out the plane, parachute down, and then get killed within 30 seconds. And yet, simultaneously, the rush people would get for those few times where they conquered the school outdid any sort of rush people could get anywhere else in the game. It was addicting. While the rest of PUBG was measured and steady, this was nothing but dopamine, and so, for a lot of people, even the ones that left school alive, the most exciting part of the game was already over. As the game...
Well, yeah. The other exciting part about it was that, like, when you'd leave school, where did the zone go? And then you'd, if you survived, you'd try to, continue on your killing rampage and try to get the dub. But when PUBG starts coming out with 9 new maps, it takes away from the element of dropping at school. Now on Erangel, you rarely get the map, so it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go school. So it's like, I don't want to go to school and ruin my Erangel,
Continued to be played, and as that initial fervor slowly got less overwhelming, people began to really sink their teeth in to feel that initial high again. While most AAA titles get play-tested and refined and perfected before it ever reaches the general audience, PUBG was a game made by a relatively small company without the necessary resources to do that. And while that sort of origin is what made the game feel more authentic to me, it also means that when a lot of mechanics were stress-tested, they kinda just snapped entirely. While optimal parachuting didn't really matter when you were dropping into a full-size town, the milliseconds of difference for dropping on the roof of school was everything, while looting could be done fairly gradually in that short...
This is why people would say, oh, if you had a really good computer, really good internet, you would land in and the items would load in for you faster than other people. So you'd actually be able to get like 5-6 kills on these types of drops before anybody else because you just had better equipment, better, internet, all that stuff. Huge advantage. Funny thing is that when I started playing this game, my computer was poop. So I couldn't land here because I'd lag out.
Short grace period of safety elsewhere, in school you had to get a gun and ammo as fast as humanly possible. This video game was not designed to be decided by milliseconds and suddenly had its entire importance placed in the niches of mechanics because of it. And the biggest issue of all of this is that, as a result of the harsh nature of the place, the people who played school non-stop were the ones that got better at the game faster than anyone else. And so,
Okay.
a schism started to form in the community, one between the casual players and the people that I call the school bullies because I'm a cute little
The
bitch, I guess.
sweat lords.
Because 100
The sweat lords. Just call it what it is. The sweat lords.
people could be in a lobby, and because a lot of them dropped at school, there were normally a few people or teams in every game whose skill grew further and further apart from the average user base. In a game like Call of Duty with constant respawns or one like CSGO with short repeating rounds, the penalty for dying was significantly less. On top of that, because death wasn't permanent in the game, you could repeat the same encounters with higher skilled players and not just occasionally win, but also potentially learn from them. In a game of PUBG, if you get hunted down by someone much better than yourself, you lost all the progress you had in the match. For people who invest their hopes in winning a game of PUBG, they might take passive approaches or go for tactical positioning like holding their spot where they can. The issue is, for the school bullies, winning the game became less and less important, compared to winning with as many kills as possible. And so, these small groups of people would end up hunting down and killing anyone who played more passively. To be clear,
Yeah, but the game promotes being passive. Like, those players, like, and I guess back in this day where the game was way less optimized, you had to have a better computer to do those hot drops. Like, now there's team deathmatch, there's all that different stuff that can help you with all that to be better, to not have to be so passive. But there's other things in the game now that's based more on RNG that pushes people into hiding.
The school bullies weren't malicious in that way, they just had a goal that shifted from the game's intended one, and as a result, started punishing all the people who held that original goal heavily. It only took 1 or 2 school bullies per lobby to overwhelm the majority of casual players. However, the matches were not the only place where they were dominating the casual user base. The largest and most prominent figures in PUBG's community were YouTubers and especially live streamers. In comparison to YouTube, where videos could be edited and boiled down to their most exciting parts, live streamers had to try
Hold on a second, look at the... What was this? What community organized this? You walk in there. The guy's got a 3 helmet on too. Oh my gosh.
parts, live streamers had to try and maintain a minimum level of entertainment. And so, they naturally turned to school and brought all of their fans, culturally, with them. And as time went on, the pressure these people exerted on the community only got stronger and stronger. For a budding new...
Well, I would say the counter argument to that is, yeah, school is fun and you drop and get a bunch of kills and all that, but you can look at how it develops now on, real-time PUBG in 2025. For example, in Tego, Palace used to be a hot drop. Everyone used to drop Palace on Tego. And now that it's shifted over to Terminal, and now not a lot of people go Terminal. People might go to the fishing camp buildings now. Right? The one that the compound across the river south of Palace to the fishing camp. I feel like naturally, a lot of those players get sick of those drops and then they start finding new places to go. And it's kind of like a rotation of hot drops. You just play the game and you find out where the hot drops are. But does it ruin the game? I don't think so. I think there's other things like... When all that was happening, the game was popping. The game was fun. People wanted to do that. The casuals always had a different place to drop, and that was fine. But how do you appease both?
Newly popular development studio looking to keep their game fresh, Bluehole set out to release a brand new map for the game shortly after its official launch in
the
December of
second best map
2017.
ever made.
Miramar is a desert map. It has a major lack of foliage, very fast cars, and very rocky terrain. I don't know if this will make sense to anyone else, but this is a 7.62mm map. Everything feels designed to hit hard and from a distance, because this entire map is incredibly open.
Yeah, it's a ranged
The lack of trees
battle.
and foliage makes it so that anyone can be seen for miles, and you're given the tools to fight from that distance. The towns, along with everything else, have far more verticality to them. A lot of gameplay consists of fighting through multi-story windows and ducking from all angles. Los Leones, one of the largest cities to ever exist in PUBG, is borderline labyrinthian. You could have all 100
Until Ripton. And what, Jaden a city now on Rondo?
people drop there and have it be paced like a mostly normal match of PUBG. This map too has its school, being Hacienda del Patron, but the map overall feels
This
much
clip
more
was insane.
equalized and positional than Erangel. Or in shorter words, it feels like anyone has a chance to win. It's natural and adventurous and daring. It's the most hated map in the entire game.
Is it?
At the time it
Do you guys all hate Miramar? I love it. I think Miramar's the second best map. I think that if Erangel and Miramar were the only maps, this game would be in a much better state, personally. I know a lot of people don't like Miramar. I think that when he said that Miramar is the most hated map, maybe it is hated by a lot of the casuals. I think that in order to be good at Miramar, Miramar is more tailored to winning gunfights because it is so open. So if you're not good at shooting and you get outgunned all the time, you will lose Miramar way more than anything else. So I think this may be a hot take. People who aren't as good at the game hate Miramar because they can't get the kills and they can't capitalize on it and they get beat.
released, whether it's because people just liked Erangel more or disliked the longer distance gameplay, the map was absolutely despised and has been ever since. In my opinion though, it's because the map was new content that reinforced the original design philosophy of the game. Gunfights were long and methodical again, that sense of paranoia increased. It was harder to just aim your way out of situations where you were tactically or positionally disadvantaged. And, most importantly, it wasn't quote-unquote good content for streamers. As I said, the most prominent school bullies were the live streamers, whose main form of income was dropping at hotspots and then trying to kill as many people as possible if they survived afterwards. This map was antithetical to that entire philosophy.
That's me! I'm here!
And as the talking heads of not just the school bully group but the entire PUBG community at that point, the prevailing sentiment is that the map was boring. I disagree, quite a lot.
Yeah, exactly. The map's not boring.
With this
the map is exciting.
Backlash being made about Miramar, Bluehole finally decided to cave. And so, what immediately followed was the death of PUBG as we know it.
The death. Sanhok is the death of PUBG. Interesting. So they think Sanhok is the death of PUBG. Let's see why. I mean, I can't say I can agree or disagree at this point, but I don't think Sanhok was good. I think switching away from the big map recipe was bad. I think that because instead of making a team deathmatch, they went in and made Sanhok. And all Sanhok was at the time when it was released is just a giant boot camp drop. That's all it was. And people used Sanhok as like a warm up. It was like, hey, we're going to warm up. So we're going to join a bunch of Sanhok so we can just boot camp drop over and over again. And that was the team deathmatch. And that's all it was. It was basically like a glorified school. And I think getting away from the big maps was a big problem, and I don't know. I don't think Sanhok was a good thing, personally.
Sanhok was the third map to release for the game, a few months after Miramar. Erangel and Miramar are both 8 kilometers by 8 kilometers, giving ample room for players to spread out before being closed back in. Sanhok is 4 by 4. That is 1/4 of the area with the same amount of players. Loot pools were heavily tweaked so that you often only had to loot 1 to 3 houses at most to get almost everything you need for the entire rest of the game. And the map was designed to be closer quarters than ever. Not just in area, but in sight range, with almost the entire map covered by trees and rolling hills. And on top of everything, there was not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 areas designed to be their own little version of school, and I'm being charitable. The camps, Camp Alpha, Beta, and Charlie, are just transparently Call of Duty maps, presumably designed canonically to be training courses or paintball or something. It's an area unmistakably designed for people to shoot each other in. It's kind of funny, honestly. It was the first map to have the circle speed pick up if there were
because there was no deathmatch at the time.
Consistent, action-packed, and utterly unapproachable for new and casual players. While there were 6 different schools, all overwhelmingly popular hotspots, the design philosophy was clear. The entire map was a hotspot, not just at the start, but for the entire game up until the very end. There were no quiet moments. There was no room to breathe. PUBG was fast now and only getting faster. With this
– Now, the problem with that, if it's fast and only getting faster, the game is still super punishing, right? So if you think about the recipe, the game has a really low TTK, so you can kill people super fast in this game. And tons of people, tons of action, constant shooting. It's hard to stay alive. Someone who's a casual player is probably just going to get farmed. What's that going to do to the players playing this game? It's going to force them to be more passive. It's going to force them to hide, and it's going to create frustration. And then when people die and stuff, they don't like it. So then their solution to it is to not get better at shooting or, rotations. It's get in the zone and hide. I'm just talking about the general casual player base, right? And then eventually, if that doesn't work, they'd quit.
Map, PUBG's culture slammed the gas pedal towards a certain critical point that is the death knell of competitive video game communities, a concept that I like to call the skill wall. This is the point in a competitive video game's existence where the average skill of the player base makes it so that it's no longer worth it for newer casual players to try and learn and play the game. For a company running a continually updating competitive multiplayer video game, this is the thing that you avoid at all costs.
Yeah, because that's basically tailoring or talking about the guy who's at work for 8 to 10 hours a day, and you get off of work and you're like, man, I'm exhausted from work, man. I'm whooped. I want to play some games with the boys. I want to chill back and have a good time. What game are you going to choose? Are you going to choose the Sweatlord game? Because, the people who are sweating like crazy, their skills going up and there's no way for you to compete at all? Or are you going to go play Call of Duty? Or are you going to go play, Apex Legends that has MMR, where you could, even though you're not that good, you're still playing against players of similar skill level? Or go play Fortnite, right? Or go play Counter-Strike, because even if you get rolled, you just get back into another map and every game is, round by round, you're still alive. You can, try to do what you're going to do. We talk about that all the time. So, one big thing that we were really pushing, and that's why the revive system, we say that the revive system now is really bad, is because making a good revive system would help the people who are more casual, right? You die, your teammate who's better than you is able to revive you, and you're right back in the action with your friend. You don't have to land naked again, a full circle away from your team on the other side of the map and get blasted as soon as you land. You're just right back with your friends and you can continue on, right? But they didn't do that right. And so even the revive system, like everything they've done is the opposite.
PUBG did a speed run up. If you ever wonder why game development studios seem to not listen to their communities, this is often a major reason. The simple truth of the matter is that the inner community for a game, the most dedicated people, have a fundamentally different view of the game and how it should be than the average player. And while each group is at odds with each other, the skilled players need the bad players to keep a game alive, while the casual players don't need the skilled ones at all.
That's true.
Once any new people are voted off from playing, all you have left is a condensed community that stays slowly shrinking until its inevitable death.
Yeah, and that's like where PUBG is right now, right? All the casuals are leaving. And everyone that comes to play this game, they're like, oh my gosh, everyone is so good. And that's because all the casuals are leaving. The only people that are left are the super mega sweatlords, the wannabe pros, the people who think that they're going to get good enough to be pro, and maybe they will, like when enough people quit and there's only like 300 people left, then they'll be good enough. But like it just keeps shrinking and shrinking and getting sweatier and sweatier. And then the casuals that do play are the ones that are prone in a bush. They're the ones hiding in a building in the toilet, that they're just here trying to figure it out, and then they eventually just leave, right? That's just what happens. And so, it is what it is, but that's where PUBG is now.
PUBG is a game that is incredibly punishing to die in, and that's the very thing that makes it so addictive to the most skilled people. When you kill someone in PUBG, the fact that their game is completely over gives every kill a weight that most other games simply don't have. But
they don't. I'll say this, a canine headshot kill in PUBG is probably one of the greatest feelings in all of FPS video games. Like when you knock someone or you get a kill with a bolty, the only thing I can compare a bolty headshot knock or kill in PUBG 2 is like a op wallbang double kill through the doors of Dust 2, right? Like, or anywhere really, right? In Counter-Strike, the closest thing, or like a one dig, yeah. Thug Nasty says a one dig in CS, like a one dig or an op wallbang shot, you know, something like that. Like, those are the only things that compare.
In Bluehole's attempt to keep the game alive by satisfying their most skilled, the thing they managed to kill permanently is the very thing that kept their game alive in the first place. The state of PUBG now is a relative.
After the piranhas leave.
While the game has gotten more popular in China and other Southeast Asian countries, the motor for the
Why has it become more popular in China? Because all the other BRs are banned. We talked about that. They have Korean mode, so they don't see fire, they don't see blood, they don't see dead bodies, blah, blah, blah. The other games don't do that. So if people want a BR to play, they go play PUBG. That's why it's popular. Bob, thanks for the Prime for 8 months.
The game has been stalled for a long time and has simply been gliding slowly down towards the sea of oblivion. Duos is no longer a possible queue in third-person mode, leaving 5 remaining queues in the game. There is now a casual...
Wait a second, in third-person mode? I mean, I guess, yeah, we talk about it all the time. TPP is still more popular than FPP. It's wild to me, I know, but I don't get it. I think FPP is just the better mode, but hey, I'm probably in the minority on that.
Casual mode featuring 20 real players and 80 bots to try and make the game slightly more possible for newer players, regular third-person mode having slightly more real people, and first-person mode being near impossible to win for almost anyone but the very best players. However, if I'm being honest with myself here, what I'm wishing for PUBG to be is the thing that I honestly feel like it was never made to be, a forever game. As time has gone on in gaming culture, less and less focus has been put on making more games, but rather making games more. More content, more story,
forever
more
game.
playtime, bigger and better blockbusters. Multiplayer games too have tried hard to adopt that philosophy, but even more so than single-player works. While single-player games often last 100 hours minimum nowadays, multiplayer games are designed to never end. Even further, it aims to be the only means of entertainment you will ever need. Fortnite, the game eternally compared to PUBG until PUBG was just kind of forgotten, is perhaps the best game ever at doing this. While most other games have structure and rules to them, Fortnite is eternally dedicated to change. It is completely formless, adopting and absorbing any concept that would keep people playing it.
Yep.
And to be clear, I don't really hate this. Like, the game is f***ing absurd, but it wouldn't be played by so many people if it wasn't fun. And playing the game myself a few times, it is absolutely fun. But to me, it's not fulfilling. Sure.
Yeah, well, like, so Fortnite makes changes to their game, and then, you know, I'm assuming, I don't play too much Fortnite, but like if something's insanely bad to where the community is like, dude, this is absolutely horrendous, they probably either revert it or change it again until it's better, right? Their devs are, what they're trying to do is they're listening to their community and they're implementing the feedback that's actually provided, and they're trying to adapt their game and make it better. Or, you know, try new things, right? PUBG never tries new anything. You know, we had a test server for so long and they never tried anything new. Nothing new. The only thing that ever went to the test server, they'd be like, hey, here's the test server's live, you know, try out the new changes that we're going to put for the implement into the game. And no matter what your feedback was, the test server just went live. They never listened to your feedback. They never changed it. What you saw on the test server was going live. You just got to play it a week early, and it was bad. To me, it would have been way better if they would have tested different things with PUBG, right? Like, oh, let's try on the test server what it would be like if the blue zone instantly killed you. Tell us what you think about that. Hey, let's try a couple different variations of the revive system. Tell us what you think about that. And then take that feedback and implement into the game. They don't do any of that. Lurkin, thanks for the 54 tier 3,
Or
dude.
you might have just gotten eliminated from the game, but you beat 15 challenges and got 1900 Indiana Jones tokens and a better shot at unboxing the fucking whippin' Nene. While it is very entertaining, layering feedback
you'd
on
have
feedback
different
on feedback,
different
the game
rewards
feels
in this game.
weightless to me. Everything just kind of glides. It's consistent and dense and homogeneous. PUBG is a game that is rough around the edges, occasionally unsatisfying and frustrating and difficult and bullshit. but it has bones, and the developer, pressed endlessly by an inner circle that only wanted more and more, decided to shatter those bones, to try and make a structured game formless, shaping it in new ways by ripping the entire thing apart. The bones would set in new, horrible ways, melding together in unnatural, ugly forms, only to be broken again and again with every new commitment to appeasement. Something called PUBG still exists, but the game died a very long time ago. 5 more maps have been released since Sanhok, respawning has been added, old maps revamped and scrubbed to their original intentions. Several new currencies have been added to the shop, competitive and
who knows what those currencies are?
Added, but all that is left is an empty vessel of a game, rotting away while the company remains in gleeful denial of that painfully obvious fact. PUBG was dead the moment Sanhok was released. It is truly as simple as that. And yet, I can't blame anyone for this. The people dropping school weren't being malicious, it was just the way they enjoyed the game most.
Well, people can play the game however they want, right?
Studios was just trying to keep their company afloat. The streamers and YouTubers were just trying to be entertaining. The casual players just wanted to find a game that would be more fun for them. To be honest, I like games for reasons that most people do not. I know that, but it's hard to feel that most of the time. So, while PUBG did die, it really would have regardless.
Wait, saying that, see? They're saying the game's already dead. We know it's not dead over in the Asian region, but in NA and EU, I've been saying it for a long time. The game is literally dead. Like, there's the same people play the game all day, every day. There's no new people coming. The new people coming are people who played the game like 5-6 years ago that just log in and they're like, yo, man, I just want to try the game again, see how it is. And then they log in, they play a few times, and they're like, yeah, I'm out.
The world we live in now, the games that survive are the ones that act like Fortnite. It just feels like PUBG is a game that released 5 years too late and then tried to act like it was 10 years ahead. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds was a game that was very
unlucky
special to my heart. It's dead now.
Yeah.
Now
so yeah, it's very special in their heart and it's dead now. I mean, like, I feel like that's how most people feel. People, like, everyone looks back at PUBG and when it was hopping, they're like, man, I wish I could go back and play that. I wish I could go and experience that again. And yeah, it was fun. It captured the hearts of everybody. I mean, you had people from MMOs, from survival games, from scary games, from RTSs, from all over, all coming to play PUBG and just laughing and having fun. And they lost track of what made the game fun. So, who knows? Maybe the patch tonight is gonna fix it all. What do you guys think? I don't know. I doubt it, but I don't know what Nebula Spot is and stuff, but this was a video by the Cursed Judge. I liked it. Let's see what some of the comments are here. Ironically, PUBG was the most fun when it was the jankiest. Nothing beats the moment when you're in a car with your friends, the worst driver's at the wheel, you're barreling down a hill at light speed, your Jeep hits a pebble and you explode. None of that stuff can happen anymore. Why? Because they took out, right? They took out cars exploding. They don't blow up anymore. Such an interesting problem. As a game developer, you could be receiving all the very loud feedback, making it clear what your focus should be. But if you follow it, you kill your game. Yeah, but that's the thing, though. They weren't really listening to the community. They just do their own thing, right? They're still doing their own thing. But yeah, the really shows you need to hold on to your creative intentions. Yeah, and there's an element to both of those. Like, Crafton hasn't listened to the feedback at all. And they're doing their own creative intentions, and some of them are good and some of them are bad. All implemented poorly. Paranoia is the best word you can say to describe the feeling of being in a field near Pachinki and running to zone without hearing any shots. Yeah, I mean, PUBG does do that. It's like the best game as far as getting getting your blood pumping. I mean, it doesn't get my blood pumping anymore because, you know, been playing, got almost 4,000 wins now. But yeah. So let's see. Let me post the video link here for people that want to see it. There's the link. You want to watch it for yourself.